This show is brought to you by the Genesis Communications Network, a world leader in talk radio since 1998. Visit GCNlive.com today.
America back on track. Bill Martinez live.
Correctness is deadly. They don't want to talk about the problem. And I watched President Obama today, and he was more angry at me than he was at the shooter. And many people said that. One of the folks on television said, boy, has Trump gotten under his skin. But he was more angry, and a lot of people have said this, the level of anger, that's the kind of anger he should have for the shooter and these killers that shouldn't be here. Now there are reports that the White
Well, Donald Trump, of course, yesterday talking about the president and his, I guess, misalignment of attack here, Scott. And you know, I think that in all fairness, I mean, let's start in some neutral area and say, look, I think we're all interested to, get a handle on this, to bring it under control as best we can. First of all, we got to deal with the reality that we're human, we're failed, and evil exists. Okay, and that's there. Then you've got evil pronouncing itself around the world saying, hey, look, we want to kill you. You're going to either be Sharia compliant, you're going to either become a Muslim, if not, you're an infidel. That's what their Quran says. I got to take them for what they mean, just like what people should take for what they mean when they read the Bible, or if you read some other religious publication that you say these is what the followers believe in.
Well, if somebody says they want to kill you, you should probably take note.
Yeah, somebody says that to me, that does put me on guard instinctively. But what happens is we want to be counterinstinctive because in this political correct environment in which we're still affected by, we want to say, you're just kidding, aren't you? Oh, my goodness, you just killed my neighbor. I guess you really still are kidding, right? Oh, you just killed my other neighbor. Come on, you're a religion of peace. Well, look maybe some people of their faith believe that they are a religion of peace. You read the Quran. I mean, this is what our president did back in 1812. Thomas Jefferson, he read the Quran, says, whoa, I don't read peace here. Send in the Marines. But here we are a couple hundred years later, and somehow we're still trying to negotiate that which is non-negotiable. And we want to ignore the bare facts, like Larry Pratt said, and Dr. John Lott and Megan Barth, and in talking about this. I mean, the facts are staring us right in the face, and somehow we want to accommodate it because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, I got to tell you, for these 50 people that were murdered in Orlando, it's more than feelings that got hurt. Not to mention those that survived and what they will carry with them the rest of their lives, the stories. The absolute shock that they must still continue to be in and process because of this experience, because they were in a gun-free zone. So how does that make you feel, ladies and gentlemen, when our government and the political thought of the day says, really, you don't need your Second Amendment right? If you're being attacked, we're going to send some really good police officers and guys that are really well trained, and we're going to set them up in a perimeter, and they're going to stand outside where you are being held captive, and the people next to you are being shot, but they're out there, they're surrounding the building. I mean, this is the problem when you want to subordinate your self-responsibilities to people, outside of your immediate self. This is the kind of thing that you leave yourself vulnerable to. And then at that point, you're not being defended. Your body is just being collected and put into a body bag. you need to think about this, and we need to come to the right conclusion because it's our kids. They're counting on us.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Bill Martinez Live, a program about current events, our culture, our values, our politics, and our future. And now, Bill Martinez.
We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going.
Welcome back, America. Bill Martinez here coming at you 6 minutes after the top of the hour. For more information on the show and our affiliate list of over 280 markets in which you can partake and enjoying yourself with this compelling talk radio where we provide solutions over opinion. How's that, huh? It's a good exercise. I mean, after all, we want to be focused on the truth. Hey, with us right now, we're very fortunate to have with us Larry Loftus. Loftus is the author of the book Into the Lion's Mouth, a true story of Dusko Popov, World War II spy, patriot, and the real-life inspiration for James Bond. Larry Loftus, welcome to Bill Martinez Live. How are you?
Thank you, Bill. Glad to be here.
Well, James Bond, man or myth? Ian Fleming would say both, right?
The novel part is fictional, but it's based on a real character.
Exactly.
A real person, a real MI6 agent.
So how did you get connected with the story?
I actually stumbled into it. I was thinking about and working on a historical fiction novel based on the espionage genre just because I'm interested in that, and started researching greatest spy ever, most daring spy, and the more I looked, the more all roads led to Popov. Mm-hmm. And I eventually realized, hey, this guy did more in real life than I'm making up for my character.
Wow. And
then as I kept digging deeper, I found out, well, gosh, this is the guy that actually Ian Fleming used for the inspiration for James Bond. And then so actually in short order, I threw out my fictional novel and just focused strictly on Popov and did a nonfiction book instead.
Kind of a happenstance situation for Ian Fleming running into this guy, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Oh, you mean about how Fleming and Popov met?
Yeah, exactly.
They're in Lisbon. Lisbon was the hub of espionage. Remember, Spain and Portugal were the only neutral countries in Europe, and so all of the spies would go to those two hubs, Madrid and Lisbon. Estoril is a wealthy suburb of Lisbon, and that's where a lot of the people with money stayed and the spies stayed. And Fleming knows who Popov is because Fleming's boss is Admiral John Godfrey, Director of Naval Intelligence. They were coming back from a trip from the U.S., and Fleming knows who Popov is and follows him from the Palacio Hotel to the casino. And Fleming knows that he's carrying a lot of money, about $750,000 in today's dollars. Mm. And Fleming watches him from the sidelines in Casino Estoril. And if you don't know the history, Fleming's first book, Casino Royale, is a thinly veiled recreation of what Fleming saw in Casino in Estoril, and particularly Casino Estoril in 1941. And that casino scene, the famous casino scene that we see in Casino Royale, was directly lifted from what happened in August 1941. Mathis is Fleming, Popov is Bond, and a gentleman named Bloch is Le Chiffre.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so it's a recreation of what actually happened.
Exactly. Well, Popov, I mean, most amazing. I mean, his background, as a young man, he's expelled from a London prep school, Later, he would be arrested, banished from Germany for making derogatory statements against Adolf Hitler. And then, of course, World War II ensues. And he's, I guess, in a sense, he's a celebrated playboy, right?
He's not only that, but he's just a perfect spy. I mean, the playboy, the intelligence really didn't care for that too much, as long as he didn't get in too much trouble. But here's a guy that's intelligent. He has a doctorate in law. He speaks 5 languages. He's a crack shot with a pistol. He's won 2 shooting contests. He's articulate. He's handsome. He's charming. He was just the perfect guy. And both sides knew that. I mean, both sides wanted him. And so obviously he used it to his best advantage. He was the star for Germany, or so they thought, and he was the star spy for the British. And eventually the FBI for the United States, I mean, it's one thing, you know, we always hear about double agents, but he was, in a sense, a triple agent, right? Well, we got to be careful with the word triple, because that in the spy game, that means you're actually loyal to the first one, which means he would be loyal to Germany. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't a triple agent, but he had 3 masters. He had the Germans, the British, and then later the Americans. And even within those, there were more. Like even on the German side, his direct employer, if you will, was the ABWR, the military intelligence, but the SD, the Nazi intelligence, wanted him too, and they would give him stuff to do independently, and then you had the Gestapo, who did the same. So he actually had 3 masters within the German side. Wow. And on the British side, he had MI5 and MI6, and then on the American side, he had the FBI. Well, you know, his story is so incredible, and of course your book, I mean, is such a page-turner. Into the Lion's Mouth, it's the account of this extraordinary man's globetrotting entanglement and espionage, murder, assassins, and lovers, including enemy spies and a Hollywood starlet. I mean, this guy had it all going for him, huh? I mean, no wonder he's James Bond. He makes Bond look like a Boy Scout. Exactly. I mean, and this is real life stuff. I mean, all this stuff we're talking about, espionage, murder, assassins. I mean, he's not standing still here. And this had to be amazing for you as you're researching this guy, and you're going, wow, this guy is incredible. And here Ian Fleming brings him to the big screen, and you wonder, is there a James Bond out in the shadows operating today? Well, you have to remember, all of us have to remember, and I have to remind myself, that Fleming could say nothing about Popov or about who he was or what he did, because the Official Secrets Act, Britain's Official Secrets Act, kept everything quiet. So Fleming would be fined, and he would be in prison probably if he said anything about who Popov was. So all of this was classified on both sides. In fact, it was classified until 10 years after Fleming's death. It wasn't until Fleming died in 64. It wasn't until 74 that a little bit starts to trickle out, a little more, until now it's basically all declassified. And so that's how I got access to the MI5 files and the FBI files. Exactly. Well, it was all classified. Yeah, and we understand in your book that J. Edgar kind of blew his cover a bit, huh? The FBI did, indeed. In fact, that made it really scary for him to return to Lisbon, because they had botched his radio messages back. They wouldn't even tell him what was going in, and the FBI wanted to control it. Hoover wanted to control it. And they botched a number of radio messages, and the Germans figured out, wait, something's wrong here, and they figured out he was a double agent. And MI5 told him, look, you can't go back. You're blown. He's like, I have to. The British don't have any other double agents that actually meet with the ABWR or the SD to convince them that D-Day is going to take, we're trying to tell them, look, it's going to happen in Calais in July, not in Normandy in June. And right. Popov is the only one that meets with him. So there was no one else to do it. And Popov, they asked him not to go, and Popov said, I have to go. And they're like, look, they're going to kill you. And Popov said, well, they won't do it right away. And his case officer said, you might wish they had. Wow. Well, and as you say, tortured. Right. And as you're suggesting here, MI5 desperately needed Popov to deceive the ABWR about the D-Day invasion. And so what happened? So he goes and he has to convince them that he's not a double agent. He has to convince them that he's still loyal to Germany. And how he does that, well, you'll have to read the book to find out.
Exactly. You have to read the book, and let me tell you, it is a page-turner. Excellent read. Larry Loftus, Into the Lion's Mouth, The True Story of Duskov Popov, World War II Spy, Patriot, and the real-life inspiration for James Bond, 007, and Ian Fleming. Larry, thank you so much for being with us.
June is Men's Health Month, and while men may consider their weight and cholesterol this month, most men aren't aware of the attention they should also give to their bones. Osteoporosis is a lifelong disease that weakens bones over time. This makes bones more likely to break and could even lead to loss of height. Although people often associate osteoporosis with women, this disease also poses a significant health risk to millions of American men. In fact, 1 out of every 4 men over the age of 50 will experience a broken bone due to osteoporosis in their lives, greater than their likelihood of developing prostate cancer. A broken bone from osteoporosis can have a serious impact, making it difficult to get around and do things on your own. What's more, osteoporosis may not be seen or felt and can therefore go undetected until a bone breaks. It's important to understand your risk for osteoporosis and ways to manage the disease. Don't wait. Be proactive and start this conversation with your doctor today. This report is brought to you by Amgen.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Has your body ever gone low blood sugar, feeling weak, shaky, knowing you better eat something fast? We all know high blood sugar can lead to many metabolic problems. At GCNteam.com, we have a healthy blood sugar pack, focusing on the structure and function of stable blood sugar. Find us at GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. Nothing feels worse than unstable blood sugar. Call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Bill Martinez Live.
What does it take to win your love from me? How can I make this dream come true for me? Oh, I just got to know.
I'll takes you back a little bit, doesn't it, Don? Summer 1968, great music like that from Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Hey, it's Bill Martinez back with you, 19 minutes after the top of the hour. Jennifer Breeden is with us. Of course, she's way too young. She doesn't remember that kind of music, so I just kind of have to, thank you, Jen, for putting up with me. Jennifer's a legal analyst with the Clarion Project and human rights specialist. But, you love these classic songs, that's all. What can I tell you?
I really do. And my father raised me on classic rock and good music, so.
So you're not, we're not too far off, but, hey, this goes back a little bit, back to my old disc jockey days, so it's kind of fun to remember some of that good stuff. Jennifer, I'm so glad that you were able to come on and talk. As we were talking here briefly before you came on the air, you've been rather busy after these incidences in Orlando, and sadly, we continue to revisit. It seems like the same thing over and over again, and are we locked into some kind of insane alternate universe here right now? Because it's just like we just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again.
It's exactly what you said. That's the definition of insanity, and that's what we keep doing. We're not calling this problem what it actually is. We're not calling this is a genocidal campaign that has been set up by not only the Islamic State, but just this radical extremist ideology, and it's the underlying force that is allowing this to happen, and we're not even addressing it. We're not even calling it what it is. Yes, exactly.
I got to tell you, I was just greatly disturbed by what the president and Jay Johnson had to say yesterday. I mean, this was unbelievable.
Yes. No, absolutely. And it's just, it's another reminder of the fact that until we learned to address this squarely, nothing's ever going to change. You see, we set this up. I mean, they knew exactly what our president was going to say. They knew exactly what the president was going to come out and talk about, and they framed this. I mean, look at the father of Omar Mateen. An hour after we found out who he was, barely an hour, he already had the defense ready, and he had already set the stage to say this was a hate crime. He saw something in Miami. This is absolutely ludicrous because this ideology has been going on for years, for centuries. There are countries where people are still being murdered for being homosexuals.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and many other things.
And beyond that, I mean, look, right now the focus is homosexuality, but I want everybody to understand is that you either are with them or against them. Right now, it happens to be that they went after the homosexuals. This is Hitler, Nazi Germany all over again in its early stages here in America that we're starting to realize. I mean, it wasn't like Hitler and the gang went after everybody. They went after all these groups that they disparaged and that they considered to be less than. And, like the saying said, that they came after this group, but I wasn't a homosexual, so it didn't matter to me. And they came after this, this Christian group. I wasn't a Christian, so it didn't matter to me until, it was just him that they came after, and there was nobody to speak up for them, right?
And you're exactly right. That's an incredible quote, and it's an incredible reminder. But not only that, it's just a kind of genocide on a scale that we've never seen before because, the definition of genocide is the intent to destroy in whole or in part an entire religious, ethnic, or national group. And so a lot of times we've seen that even with Hitler. Hitler went past or after different groups, targeting the Jews, and that's kind of what we remember in our head, the Jewish population. But this is a group we're talking about here that is targeting nations, entire ideologies, entire systems, and you're exactly right that it's definitely not just homosexuals. The next day it could be a church. The next day it could be a mosque, a moderate mosque that preaches out against this kind of violence. And it's the same kind of thing. So this is a scale we've never seen.
Well, in the article Ryan Morrow, who's also associated with you, had written 5 ways Islamists set the stage for the Orlando attack. And this is an established pattern, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely is. It's an established pattern. The stage has been set. And not only that, we now live in a society where we are allowing this, not a society, we live in a country right now where our officials, our government leaders are allowing this to happen, and our enemies know that. They know exactly what to prey on, and they know exactly the fact that because of political correctness, nobody's going to speak out about this suspicious behavior.
Yeah. Well, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, his administration, we talked with Larry Pratt earlier and with Dr. John Lott. These are all experts in the field. And one thing that seems to be very consistent is these gun-free zones. We are close to becoming a gun-free America. And time and again, when these perpetrators and these bad actors go out, they're going to go and like any human instinct, they're going to go after the avenue of least resistance. So where they see that there's resistance, they're not going to show up. But they go to places and they say, hey, we are a gun-free zone. Guess what? You just suddenly have made yourself a target-rich area for these bad actors.
Absolutely. I mean, you're seeing that play out not only here, but also in Europe. I mean, look at France right now. There's this horrible terrorist attack that happened against police officers. And look at the violence in Chicago. I mean, the violence in Chicago, just over Memorial Day weekend, many people were killed. And these are all, quote unquote, gun-free cities. And so exactly, they know our weaknesses. They've targeted our weaknesses, and these gun-free zones are very, very dangerous.
Well, they definitely have softened up the psychology of these targeted areas in terms of, first of all, as Ryan wrote, supporting the execution of gays. We've seen that happen in the Middle East. It's like Atlas Shrugged here. People are being thrown off buildings because they're gay, and the international community goes, oh, well, that's their problem.
Exactly. And what's sad is that a lot of the support for the execution of gays by Sharia authorities is also happening in the United States. I mean, the Islamic Society of North America, ISNA, it's a U.S. Muslim Brotherhood entity. It's identified as such by the Justice Department. Their chairman came out, talking about attacking homosexuals, saying that they support them. Again, we also invited an imam to come and speak about issues from Iran. He was in Sanford, Florida, which is right near Orlando, and spoke about it being compassionate to kill gays. People attended that.
Yeah. Well, this is all conditioning. And then also, and this is why the president shocked me yesterday when he said, what is the power of words? I don't understand why, radical Islam is such a big issue, like that's going to solve the problem. No, but he begins to call it for what it is. And as you said earlier, Jennifer, it's about the truth. And here they get it. I mean, they start sending, whether it's in language and now, of course, through social media, promoting incendiary text. I mean, the social media waves and connections are loaded with this kind of hate speech.
Yes, and what was scary to me, especially about the president's speech, was that he spent so much time talking about this being a politicized, issue of the right, and people coming out and saying, well, why do we have to make it political? It's not about words. This is terrible. When all he had to say was just call it what it is. It would have taken less time. It would have taken less headache, and just call it what it is. So why going out on this limb to talk about these words? So you're exactly right. There's hate speech going on, but this is a hate that's been embedded in this ideology.
Well, I would appreciate it if the president, as the leader of my country, would have stood up and had a George W. Bush moment and with a bullhorn saying, look, okay, guys, we get it. We got the message. You want war. You're getting war. We're coming after you. Whether you're here in the United States, whether you're in the Middle East, get ready. We're coming after you. This is unacceptable. It stops today. But no, we got to talk about all guns. We got to talk about all this stuff, these other things that matter so little, and about language. And when you look at, again, what Ryan presented, I mean, this is Nazi Germany all over again. It's the same pattern. As you stated, Jennifer, they present homosexuals as vermin. They're less than people, blocking Islamic reform. I mean, this is the same pattern, these same 5 points, very consistent with what happened in Nazi Germany. And history is repeating itself. But because we choose to ignore history, we choose not to teach history anymore in classes, we're going to have to make the mistakes all over again. And the mistakes that we're going to make are going to be at bigger numbers. There are going to be more people impacted. We're going to have more Orlandos, and they're going to be bigger than what Orlando was. I mean, undoubtedly is what I see on the horizon, unless we do something about this, Jennifer. What do you say, We got 10 seconds.
All right, you're absolutely right. There are people gearing up to fight this battle, and they're going to keep doing it until we speak the truth.
Jennifer Brayton, I'm Bill Martinez. Thanks, Jen.
By NBC Universal Telemundo Enterprises. Education, health, and finances are very important topics for the U.S. Hispanic community, which continues to be underrepresented in key areas, such as science and technology education. Hispanics also have increased incidence of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and obesity, and are more likely to be unbanked than non-Hispanics. Through El Poder NT, Telemundo aims to empower viewers to take action in the areas of education, health, and finances. The campaign will provide information and resources on the most critical issues affecting Hispanics today, and inspire viewers to live a better life by unleashing the power within. With the help of various talent, including Telemundo, NBC News, and MSNBC anchor and host Jose Diaz-Balart, Telemundo is spreading the message to their millions of viewers.
You don't have to be a superhero to make great things happen. The power is within you to reach all your goals. Visit elpoderent.com for resources on education, health, and finances. Find the tools you need to improve your life. Follow the conversations on social media by using the hashtag elpoderent.
Did you know a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, you might not sleep so well. But now, SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs, and it's completely hands-free. For a limited time, you can try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-941-9796.
SoClean changed the CPAP experience for the better. My health has improved. It's simple to use. I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean destroys CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs, and it eliminates the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. There's no water, chemicals, or disassembly. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Call SoClean.com to try it risk-free at home for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer only available by calling 1-800-941-9796. That's 1-800-941-9796.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
A note to D.C. bureaucrats. You're not getting away with it. Bill Martinez, live.
Okay, as long as they continue to perpetuate the lies, they can get away with it, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the truth is so critical, so important, and this is why we pursue it no matter where it leads. Welcome back, America. Bill Martinez here 28 minutes before the top of the hour. And we're going to take a break from some of the domestic issues, and we're going to talk about Russia, if that's okay with you, okay? A great history lesson is in the offing for you right now, so you'll want to take notes. The end of communism, the breakup of the Soviet Union was a time of euphoria around the world, but Russia today is violently anti-American and dangerously nationalistic. So how did we go from the promise of those heady days to the autocratic police state of Putin's new Russia? 25 years after the fall of the USSR, The Economist Russia editor, Arkady Ostrovsky, is here to talk about, what is happening, the many mistakes and false promises that we wanted to believe in. And it's all written in his book, The Invention of Russia, From Gorbachev's Freedom to Putin's War. Arkady, welcome to Bill Martinez Live. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be there.
Well, I tell you, it is our pleasure to have you here because there's so much that's misunderstood about Russia. The last political cycle, when Mitt Romney said we had to keep our eyes on Russia, many of the progressives in this country kind of laughed at him, made fun of him, said, what are you talking about? And then here it is, we find out in the ensuing years that Mitt Romney was more right than wrong, and there's no condemnation for, the craziness and the narrative that the progressives wanted us to believe in.
That's right. I think it has come every time Russia does something, it comes as a shock. Every time Russia makes a turn, it comes as a big surprise. And in a way, this was the reason I started writing this book, is I tried to follow the logic and the trajectory of how the country got from those incredible days of hope and promise when I was a student studying in Moscow, discovering the world, being welcomed to the West, to the days where Russia is seen as an aggressor and as a threat. And the policy responses to Russia's aggression, including in America, have not always been right.
Mm. Well, it's hard to think that it's been 25 years. I mean, this is the 25th anniversary of the fall of the Soviet Union. And, and it's good that you're here because as a young man, you witnessed, what happened with Gorbachev's freedom and the hope and promise that a lot of young people in Russia had, only to find themselves back in the noose again, right?
Yeah, this was, as I said, it was a fantastic gift, and I perceived it as such from Gorbachev, particularly the ability to travel. Probably that's what my generation longed for most of all. We could put up with the shortages of food, but not, to grow up and not being able to see the world and being told that you would never be able to travel, that was a really horrible thing. There was this extraordinary opening, and when Gorbachev bid farewell to the Soviet Union on the 25th of December, Christmas Day, in 1991, he said Russia would never interfere in other countries' foreign affairs. It will never use troops outside the country. It will grant respect and trust.
Mm.
And there we are. In 2008, I was in Georgia reporting for The Economist the war when Russia attacked the Republic of Georgia, feeling incredibly, apart from obviously being curious, and there was a big, big story, I felt, as somebody who was born and bred in Russia, I also felt incredibly ashamed of what has happened. And I felt my responsibility for it, as well. I think the way we, in the West have responded to Russia's aggression, including the idea of reset policy. Remember that policy of Barack Obama in his first term was frankly very counterproductive, if not to say pathetic, because the Russians saw it as a green light to their other foreign adventures. And 5 years later, Russia attacked Ukraine.
Exactly.
It's most brotherly country, annexed part of its territory, the Crimea, and started the war in eastern Ukraine, which continues to this day. I don't know how many people realize that 10,000 people have died in the middle of Europe. This war carries on today, and all we've done is the sanctions, economic sanctions, which frankly I don't think make that much difference.
Exactly. Well, Arkady, as you mentioned, you're there in Georgia in 2008, and you see the aggressiveness of Putin and Russia now. Do you have this sense that this flame of hope that you had in your heart and soul was starting to be snuffed out? Because it was like with all the forward steps Russia had made, toward some sense of fair-mindedness and being a responsible international player, that there were some major steps going backwards now.
Yes, and I think we've underestimated certain things when we look back to the late 80s and 90s, early 90s. As you said, we all thought, if we get rid of the communist, senile communist leaders, Russia will bounce back to become a normal country and join the civilized world. And we've underestimated the damage that has been inflicted onto the country by 70 years of communism. The damage has been inflicted by unprecedented terror and repression against Russian people by its own government over those years. I mean, really kind of soul and body-destroying policies. You know, to think that in a few years Russia would just get back to normal was perhaps extremely naive. Now, Putin, for all his faults, you know, he is a populist, he is a politician, probably a more able politician than we were prepared to grant him when he first came to power. But he found the weaknesses and the emotions in which he exploited so well, including this complex of inferiority after the Cold War, including this desire to be a great country, including this kind of thought of Russia as an empire. I don't think he is really about to restore the Soviet Union. Russia doesn't have the money or energy or ideology to do that. But it will certainly continue to prevent countries in its neighborhood from moving westwards. And it does so very often by using the media and, you know, using the words. Russia is a very idea-centric country. It's very Orwellian in that regard. And it's a great tribute to George Orwell that he understood how this system functions so well.
Exactly. Well, in your book, Arkady, you mention, and this is what people here in the West need to hear loud and clear, that it wasn't about economic hardship or popular frustration, but the opening of the media and the emergence of freedom of speech that opened up the door for any kind of Western thought and potential democracy for the Soviet Union. That's what really brought communism down, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Soviet Union, the Soviet system was sustained by two forces or by two pillars, which, like an arc, reinforced each other. One was repression or the threat of repression, and the other was propaganda and lies. And the lies legitimized repressions, and repressions reinforced the lies. And when the repressions weakened in the years after Stalin's death, and when Gorbachev chose to open up the country and inject a degree of truth into the system collapsed because it could only be sustained by lies and force.
Exactly.
Exactly in the same way as today Russia's sphere of influence, as we see from the events in Ukraine, can only be sustained by propaganda.
Well, Arkady, I'm so sorry. We're out of time. The invention of Russia, from Gorbachev's freedom to Putin's war. Arkady Ostrowski has been with us. His book is available at the usual places. It will be linked on our website at BillMartinezLive.com. Arkady, thank you so much.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas, is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Did you know there's an approved healthcare choice just for Christians that's founded on the timeless principles in God's Word? It's not insurance. It's Medishare. Over 189,000 believers across America who love God and share each other's healthcare bills. It's about half the cost of health insurance, and you never pay for medical practices that go against your Christian beliefs. Best of all, the healthcare law includes a special provision for Medishare members, so you don't have to buy insurance or face penalties. Medishare is affordable health care without compromise.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-BIBLE-11. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-BIBLE-11. That's 855-BIBLE-11.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from NewHarvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at NewHarvestFoods.com. That's NewHarvestFoods.com.
You know, we've seen these crazy diets to lose weight, right? You know, some of us have tried many of them. Well, at Bill Martinez Live, our healthy body weight loss system simply saturates the body with nutrition, bringing down cravings. It's been proven that nutritional deficiencies drive appetite for carbs, sugars, and fats. Sweating during a good workout at the gym is a release of all 90 essential nutrients, leading to a further deficiency, causing an even greater craving for carbs, sugars, and fats. Diet and exercise cannot curb appetite like saturation of mineral vitamins, amino acids, and essential fatty acids. Stop the weight gain cycle and lose weight the easy way with properly blended, specifically targeted nutrition. Find us at BillMartinezLive.com, Longevity, or call 855-305-8326. Fighting cravings is a losing fool's game. Give the body what it needs to be satisfied. Again, that's 855-305-8326. 855-305-8326.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
I know a place where we can go to lay the troubles down, leading your soul. I know a place where mercy flows. Take the things, make you.
You're listening to Bill Martinez Live.
Let's go down, down, down to the river.
Welcome back, America. Bill Martinez here, just about 14 minutes before the top of the hour. It's always good to have you along with us. For more information on the show, BillMartinezLive.com. We got Stephen Moore with us. We're going to talk about his latest book, all about fracking and the big lies the left have been putting upon us. And, of course, you know, we don't want to engage in all these lies. We've been doing everything we can to bring you the truth. And this is why we appreciate Stephen coming on with us to talk about his latest book, Fueling Freedom, exposing the mad war on energy. And Steve Moore, it is a mad war, isn't it?
Hi, Bill. It's good to be with you. And yeah, it is. You know, here we've got this amazing opportunity to become the energy dominant country in the world and start selling our energy rather than buying it from OPEC and Saudi Arabia and Iran and ISIS-backed countries. And yet, for some crazy reason, we have a Democratic Party and an environmental movement that says, you know, don't produce American energy. They want us to buy it from abroad, and it's a crazy policy. It's in my opinion, it's unpatriotic to be saying, you know, we're not going to create the millions of jobs we should be producing through oil and gas. And you've seen, by the way, Bill, what has happened to our coal industry under Barack Obama. Right. It is one of the most sinister things I've ever seen. It's not that the coal industry has gone out of business because of the market. It's because this was a deliberate policy of the Obama administration to put tens of thousands of coal miners out of business and destroy our domestic coal business. And by the way, my book, Fueling Freedom, one of the points we make is this country was built on coal.
Exactly.
So why would we want to put it out of business.
Well, this has been politically engineered. You're exactly right, Steve. And, the big lie that fossil fuels, fracking, and clean coal are hurting our environment and our economy. I mean, it's just a flat-out lie. There's no evidence whatsoever to back up those statements. But this has been, the lie that just won't go away because of the environmentalists and the media who want to be in the tank for this administration and be, as Ben Rhodes would say, the carrier of their PR.
Bill, I think you know this, but a lot of Americans don't because the media has not reported it. But several months ago, the Obama administration's EPA, the Obama administration, came out with a report saying there have been no incidents of water contamination from fracking. None. Zero.
Yes.
So, these ideas that somehow we're, going to all be drinking unhealthy water like Flint, Michigan if we frack is crazy. In fact, fracking, if you're someone who cares about global warming, and I'm not a big global warming guy, but if you are, then what the evidence is very clear. The more we frack, the more natural gas we get. The more natural gas we get, the less carbon we put in the atmosphere and the fewer greenhouse gases. So why aren't the environmentalists in favor of fracking and natural gas? They're against it.
Right. Well, they're picking and choosing the items of their agenda. If it fits their agenda, fine. If not, they're going to ignore the fact, even to the point that they're willing to hurt poor people with clean coal and inexpensive coal for this, I call it this Don Quixote windmill chasing event of environmentalism. And, what is it costing? I mean, who is it impacting and hurting most? The very people that they'll get in front of and say, we're for the common man. We're for the poor guy. We want to give him a hand up. Oh, do you? But every time you come up with a regulation, you're just pulverizing them.
That's a really good point you make, Bill, because I remember a time when the Democratic Party truly cared about working class Americans, and they cared about union workers, and they cared about how to improve the jobs of Americans. Now all they care about is the rise of the ocean, and they're willing to sacrifice millions and millions of energy jobs, of manufacturing jobs. They're willing to put every American out of a job if it means that we can stop by a quarter inch the rise of the ocean. And by the way, even their policies, even if we put in place every policy that they are advocating, Bill, the Chinese and the Indians are building so many coal plants that all we're doing is putting Americans out of business and transferring coal production out of America to China and India where the coal is much dirtier and worse for the environment. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, how does that work where America loses, China wins?
Yeah, but see, I wonder, and I'm not a conspiratorialist normally, but, let me give you an example. The environmentalists were all in favor of natural gas a few years ago. They said, natural gas is a bridge fuel, and, it's a clean fuel. We should use more natural gas. And then we discovered through fracking that we got hundreds of years of natural gas. And so once it became cheap and abundant, guess what? Now they're against it. They're against anything that works. I mean, think about this, Bill. Where do we get our electricity from? A lot of Americans don't even know the answer to this. They think it comes out of the wall. We get our electricity mostly from coal, natural gas, nuclear power, and some from hydropower, and a very, very tiny amount from wind and solar power. So but think about it. They're against nuclear, right? They're against oil. They're against gas. They're against coal. They don't even like hydropower because they don't like dams. So anything that works to produce electricity, they're against.
Yeah, it's like you have to check your brains in or something to go along with this. I mean, you got to think that they're a lot smarter than this. I mean, how do you just resist what is common knowledge and buy into this doctrine that time and again proves unfruitful and very expensive? Look at all the money we've been spending on all, whether it's wind energy or nuclear, solar. And I mean, and what's our return? You and I have talked about this before, Steve. What's our return on investment? We should demand accountability and a return for all this money that we've invested, not to mention money, but also in, by way of jobs and resources that this country has given up in the name of, this green energy deal.
Well, that's why what I was going to say was that I wonder if there's something else going on here. Maybe this is some kind of penance that we're supposed to. Because, look, modern-day environmentalism, the people who run these big multi-billion-dollar environmental groups, it is a religion, right? Climate change is a religion. It's not based on science and fact. It's based on a religious faith. And I think a lot of them want to see America deindustrialized. They want us to go back and live like it was the Middle Ages. And if you think about this, if you wanted to shut down the American economy, Bill, what better way to do it than to go after our energy? Because without energy, you can't produce anything, right?
Exactly. Well, yeah, when you look at how we industrialized and what happened, at the forefront of the development of modern day America was energy, and we've not only provided an incredible amount of economic power and thrust to this country, but to other countries that want to partner with us. And now we're abandoning what brought us to the dance for what? I mean, if we're abandoning something because we've got somebody better to dance with, I'm okay with that. But I don't, I'm not seeing anything that looks all that pretty.
Well, I live in Virginia. Virginia's a coal-producing state. And it is really heartbreaking to see what Barack Obama and his radical environmentalists have done to these towns. I mean, they've been totally, these are third and fourth generation, 100 years old, coal towns that still produce a lot of coal. And Obama's regulators have come in and just shut them down. And where now all you've got is unemployment lines and kids on meth. It's a really tragic thing to say. And these are the same people, Hillary Clinton says, I care so much of the working class folks. She doesn't care about the working class folks. She cares about Tom Steyer, the billionaire who's funding her campaign in the Democratic Party. She puts the billionaires ahead of the working class Americans who are going to lose their jobs. And you saw, by the way, Bill, what happened when Hillary went to West Virginia. Remember that?
I was just going to say she put her high heels in her throat all the way down to her throat on that one. And
yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, to your point, Steve, is that, their policies continue. But, the thing is that's the most amazing is that they're so arrogant and so self-assured by this theory that they're willing to talk out loud. I mean, you might say, oh, did I say that out loud? I thought I was just thinking that. I didn't think I really actually said that.
Exactly. Well, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think the Democrats, when I talk to Democrats, thoughtful Democrats, they will tell me privately, not on the record. They'll say, Steve, our party is on the wrong side of the energy issue. We've bet on the wrong horse. We're betting on windmills and solar paneling when we've got, 500 years worth of coal. We've got 300 years worth of natural gas and 200 years worth of oil. We're not running out of this stuff. We're running into it. And so, look, the point of our book is, let's get this right. Let's use our energy resources. Let's become the energy dominant country in the world. Let's sell the stuff rather than buy it. Let's put, Putin out of business. Let's put OPEC out of business. Let's put ISIS out of business by producing our own oil. I mean, it's just so obvious. So I think 90% of America, this is, by the way, why I think Donald Trump is going to win a huge election, because these are, as my 13-year-old son would say, this is a duh. It's kind of obvious to do this. And
exactly.
We'll see what happens. But this energy issue, I can't think of one issue. Maybe there are a few where the two parties are so diametrically opposed. I mean, Republicans produce the jobs and the resources and become energy efficient, and the Democrats say let's use windmills. And by the way, windmills, they used windmills in the Middle Ages, folks, and there's a reason we stopped using windmills 300 years ago.
Exactly, and that's why I love Don Quixote. I just, I'm just saying, I see Barack Obama dressed up as Don Quixote chasing windmills, and Hillary, and Hillary's his Sancho Pancho. What do you think?
Yeah. Maybe we should call the Hillary, Barack Obama, Bernie Sanders energy policy the Don Quixote energy policy.
Exactly. Well, Stephen, congratulations on the book that you and Kathleen have written, Fueling Freedom, Exposing the Mad War on Energy, available at all the usual places, right?
Yep, and I'm so pleased that you allowing me to talk a little bit about this, because I do think it's one of the most important issues for our country going forward. And as I said, if we get this right, folks, we're talking a lot of jobs. We're talking about and we're talking about jobs that pay $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year for truckers and welders and construction workers and engineers. Let's do it.
Amen. Stephen Moore on Bill Martinez Live. Thank you, Stephen. Why do they dispense little colorful pills that restrict the production of stomach acid, compromising digestion, leading further to malabsorption, leading even further to bone loss, and many other health complications? Well, at Bill Martinez Live, we support structure and function of digestion with a healthy body digestion pack. Find us at BillMartinezLive.com longevity or call 855-305-8326. Healthy acid, healthy body. That's 855-305-8326.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX or my website, danpilla.com.